What's up, world? This your guy, Guitar K, and today we're going to be talking about spiritual growth and maturity, man. Spiritual maturity. Look, if you're 30, 40, 50 plus years old, and you're still out here acting the same way you did when you was a teenager in your 20s, something's not right. Look, man, we can grow up in years. We can grow up physically. But if you're not maturing, and I'm talking about in your spirit, something's not connecting, man. Jesus said it on top of the mount. When the devil tried to offer him food, he said the man does not live off of food alone. You got to take care of your spirit, man. And the reason that we neglect our spirit so much is because we can't see it. We want to take care so much of the outside, what we look like, what people see. But I'm telling you, your spirit drives everything that you do. Look, man, your spirit, if it's weak, you're going to fall for everything. Your spirit, if it's dirty, if it's nasty, it's going to show in your attitude. And if your spirit is not mature, it's going to show in every aspect of your life. Look, man, if you're growing spiritually, you should not be doing the same things you did when you was a kid. You're not going to see things the same way. You're not going to laugh at the same jokes. You're not going to want to be around the same people. You're not going to show the same behaviors that you did when you was a kid. And this comes from spiritual growth and spiritual maturity. All right, let's get into it, man. Let me give you an example. One of my favorite movies growing up was Scarface. And I used to root for Scarface. I wanted him to get away. I wanted him to keep selling drugs and killing people and murdering people. But now, as I done got older, I'm 48 years old, and I done been through life myself, as I done seen things myself, I don't see him as the same person that I seen him when I was a kid. I don't root for him anymore. I see why he died. I see why his life was going the way that it was. He stole somebody else's wife. He was selling poison to people. He was a murderer. It's no way that he was ever going to come out of that life on top. This is what I mean by spiritual growth. So if you're 50 years old and you're still watching Scarface and you're still rooting for Tony, you need to grow up spiritually, man. Let me give you an example in music. One of my favorite artists growing up was Biggie Smalls. And in the beginning of Juicy, he says a line. It's similar to this. All the people that was calling the police on me when I was just trying to make some money to feed my daughter. Now, growing up as a young kid, I was mad at those people that was calling police on Biggie. I'm like, why y'all calling the police on Biggie? He just trying to make some money to feed his daughter. But now, as I done lived some life, as I done experienced some life, they should have been calling the police on him. What about their daughters? What about the people that he was selling drugs to? Like I said, man, once you go through life and once you start maturing spiritually, you don't see things the same way that you once saw them. You can't. It's impossible. Once you start to grow up spiritually, you got to change the way you see things. You're going to change the way you do things. You're just not going to be the same person that you was. And this is like a daily growth. That's the beauty about it, man. You grow daily when you're building onto your spirit, when you're adding onto your spirit. But when you're only out here following the ways of the world, you're only out here following the trends. Now all of a sudden you're agreeing with some of this nonsense that we used to agree with when we were once kids, man. And this will affect all parts of your life. The way that you dress. Look, man, and I'm going to talk about the females on this. Look, man, Miss Parker, you was out of pocket. And I'm not saying that Miss Parker wasn't a nice looking lady, because obviously she was. But it's no way that Miss Parker should have been out there with that little skimpy top and those booty shorts on, watering the dirt. She was out of pocket. Okay, obviously she grew up physically, but she never grew up spiritually. Because if she was spiritually mature, she would not have been out there watering the dirt. She would have not have been cheating on her husband in their own house with the pastor. That's the type of behavior that we can't condone no longer once you start to grow up spiritually. It's not funny. It's nothing funny about that type of behavior. It's nothing funny about grandma dressing like she in high school. Nah, man. We can't condone that type of behavior when you start to grow up spiritually. You start to see things for what they are. It's just not funny. Everybody laughing, but it ain't nothing funny, man. Not when your spirit It's just not funny in your spirit no more. And like I said, your spirit is really what drives what you do. The Bible says what's in a man's heart will direct where he go. And at the end of the day, when the Bible's talking about your heart, it's talking about your spirit. It's not talking about the crazy thing that's pumping out your blood. When the Bible talks about matters of the heart, it's talking about matters of your spirit. Your spirit, what we can't see. Even though we can't see it, trust me, it has a lot of power in driving what you do. So like I said, man, the way you dress, you shouldn't be 50 years old walking around with your pants hanging off yet. You shouldn't be no age walking around like that. Dress presentable. Dress your age. Don't be trying to follow all the latest trends and fashions. The way that you talk, all this new slang that's coming out drives me crazy. Look, man, when the slang that we used to speak when in my age group, when that slang went out of style, I shouldn't be trying to talk slang no more. I shouldn't be trying to keep up with all this new slang, especially where I live from. So I'm from the Baltimore area. I'm from Maryland. I grew up in Baltimore, but right now I live on the Eastern Shore. So all this, they talking about dummy and glizzy and no diddy and all this stuff like that. I don't need to be speaking like that. Why do I need to say no diddy after every time I say something that you think is a suspect statement? I'm comfortable with my sexuality, bro. I don't need to validate what I say or what I don't say because of what you think. No. I am spiritually mature. What you think of me and what I say doesn't matter to me today, man. Look, like I said, I'm 48 years old. I'm not for none of that. All this, you heard me, yeah, I mean, I'm talking about and blah, blah, blah. No, regular English is good enough for me today. Why? Because I'm spiritually mature and I'm growing. I'm trying to grow. I'm not trying to regress back to my teenage years. I'm trying to regress back to my 20s. No, if anything, I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to level up. So why would I try to stay down where I used to be? Makes no sense, man. We got to grow up. We got to leave childish things behind, man. I'm telling you, it's real powerful. You think it's something small when it's something so big. Everybody laughing, but it ain't nothing funny. We got to grow up spiritually. It's real important, man. I don't need to be out here talking about I'm swagging and I'm dripping and swag surfing and, I'm talking about, look, like I said, man, I'm almost 50 years old. I don't need to, after every line that I speak, you say, you heard me, or you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then go get a dictionary. Go to an encyclopedia. I don't need to keep repeating myself and all this, you feel me, and real talk and all of that. No. It never was cool in the first place to do that. Like I said, I understand. When I was a teenager in my 20s, we did have some slang and we thought we was slick and we thought we was cool and all that. But like I said, as you grow spiritually and as you get more mature, you start to see things for what they are. The more real you are, the more better you can present yourself, the more better that you communicate. I'm telling you, the better off you're going to be. And we ain't none of this sitting on the, both sides where I'm here, I'm talking like this and I'm here, I'm talking like that. No, I don't have no time for that no more neither. Nah, it's integrity. I'm going to be the same person over here, over there. It's a lot easier. I ain't got time for that no more. I ain't got time for that no more. I'm growing spiritually. I'm maturing. I'm to the level where I'm comfortable with me 100% of the time, man. Look, in recovery, which is what I am. Thank you. I appreciate it. If anybody out there, congratulated me for being in recovery. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In recovery, we have a saying. It says that sometimes we suffer from being terminally hip and fatally cool. Like I said, man, I'm not trying to suffer from that no more. So many times I'm out here trying to impress people, trying to be with the latest trends and the latest fashion. That type of thinking will keep you stuck. For real. It might get you killed. Have you out of pocket. Have you in areas that you're not supposed to be. Again, that's terminally hip and fatally cool. Think about that. Look, man, in today's world, I heard Bob Marley talk about this. Also, KRS-One. It's a real great acronym. It says that today my spirit will be centered around GUN. G-U-N. That's God, universe, and nature. Because my spirit used to be centered around material things and, people pleasing and how much money I got and what's the newest girl I could grab up and all of that stuff like that, man. Like I said, following the latest trends. But when you mature spiritually, you want something that lasts. And I've come to learn that the only thing that really matters is God, the universe, and nature. And when I center my spirit around those things, nothing can stop me, man. Nothing can stop me. It says that with God with me, what could be against me, man? So with that gun in my hand, that God, universe, and nature, with that gun, nothing can stop me. You see, a lot of weapons will be formed against me. A lot of weapons will be formed against me, but none of them shall prosper. Not with that gun, not with God, university, and nature. None of them will prosper. I will always win if I keep my spirit centered around those three things. So again, man, it's time to level up. It's time to grow in our spirits. Okay, I know that our bodies have grown. Okay, we do some exercise, we get a little bit of bicep work going on and all that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about our spirit growing. I'm talking about our spirit maturing. Do that and you will find yourself in a lot better spot than you did yesterday. Again, man, this is your guy, Guitar K. Hopefully you got something out of this. Hopefully today you're going to start pruning your spirit. You're going to start seeing some spiritual maturity and some spiritual growth out there. Guitar K, be more